There were many questions surrounding the start of the 2012 season, especially about the new car, which was advertised as having more downforce and improved cornering speed. That appeared to be the case in preseason testing. Most teams agreed that the new car is much easier to drive. However, this drew complaints from some of the older drivers, such as Brenda Riggs and Andy Pearson. In fact, Riggs told the press, and I quote, "I hate this car. It's going to make all the idiots out there think that they're better than they actually are." Well, we will just have to see how the car handles in race conditions. We have 25 drivers in this year's rookie class, and they were all on hand for today's running of the Rookie Shootout. Scott, it's all yours. Thank you, Earl. Kyle Gaffigan drew the Cromwell Pole Award. Of course, for this race, the starting grid is decided by a random draw. It reportedly took several hours to get Gaffigan settled down after he drew the pole, but he's making good use of it right off the start as he clears Bill Tissum, who started on the outside front row. However, we had a caution on the first lap as Jarko Forsström slides up into Lawrence Burr coming off of turn number 1, sends both cars around. Jessica Graham gets involved, Lane Cranston got clipped, Patrick Henderson is involved, and Kiriki Hitsuna gets a pretty big chunk of that. This really did not need to happen, especially on the first lap of the race. Looking from the aerial shot, it looks like Forsström just dove into the hole between Greg Woodard and Lawrence Burr, and it didn't work out. He collects a few other cars, but they all had relatively minor damage and continued on without too many problems. Kyle Gaffigan continues to lead on the restart, and I see that the front end is missing on the 696 of Jennifer Goodwin, so forget what I said about minor damage. Gaffigan is being hounded by Vijay Pushanda, who took second from Bill Tissum on the first lap. But then we got the next caution a couple laps later when Mac Ryland gets up into Jacob Hartson in the 86X. He bounces off the inside wall, back up the track, stuffs Darren Grant into the wall. However, this is not what brought out the caution. Jennifer Goodwin was hit by the 86X on his way back up the track. And then, coming off of turn 2, she stomps on her brakes and gets plowed from behind by Ben Atkins, collecting several other cars. Lawrence Burr in another incident. I don't understand what happened there, and neither do the officials. They promptly called Goodwin and her spotter to the hauler. Kyle Gaffigan once again leads on the restart. We have not been able to get too much racing in, and Gaffigan gets a terrible start, allowing Vijay Pushanda to pounce on him and sweep into the lead. Zachary Zins follows. Gaffigan is holding up the rest of the field. I wonder if he dropped a cylinder or something. He gets a bit of a shot from Bill Tissum. Gaffigan stays out of the pits, so I guess he doesn't feel it's a big enough problem at the moment. Vijay Pushanda is pulling away from the field. Pushanda originally signed on to run a full season in the Math Motor Zenith, but then a couple of weeks ago he got a call to run one of the Tutinos in the Team Master Cup Series, and so he took what he felt was the more high-profile ride. But he will still be running as many races as his Master Cup schedule will allow in the Pi car. Math Motors signed on Philip Borland to run all the races that Pushanda isn't driving in. We had another caution on lap 15. Jacob Hartson slides up into the wall coming off of turn number 1, gets tagged by Nikos Kostopoulos, back up the track into Tiffany Matthews, and back down into Casey Campbell, which sends him around. Barton Sandy gets jacked up off the ground by, I think that was Greg Woodard in the 41. Mac Ryland also got a huge piece of that. Jacob Hartson has never stepped into a race car in his life. He's participating in the Empire Rent-A-Car Drive the Dream program, in which normal people audition for the 85 car fielded by Empire, and I do not agree with that promotion at all. You are taking people who are not racers and putting them in a position where they can do some serious damage. Kyle Gaffigan finally addresses his mechanical problems and brings the 37 car into the pits. Vijay Pushanda leads on the restart. Zachary Zins is second, and Bill Tissum is still in the third spot, partly due to all these cautions we've been happening in the early part of the race. 2012's rookie class is not really doing themselves any favors at the moment. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. drove in a few races last season for the Marcus Leonard-owned team Fluffy Penguin Onion Burger, and I'd say he's taken to these ARLA cars fairly well, so now he is running the full schedule here in 2012. He is hounding Calvin O'Railer in the 672 car for the 5th position at the moment. Bill Tissum's Tenere Thunderbolt has come to life, and here he comes around the Pi car for the lead of the race. Tissum is the oldest driver in the rookie class at 40 years old, and now he will finally be able to prove himself with a full-time ride. Zachary Zins was knocked back to third a few laps ago, and now he's going to come under attack from Tiffany Matthews. Zins will be driving this 99 car this year for A1 Racing, and his Seek the Truth machine has some rather odd messages written on it, but the officials just shrugged and let him through the inspection bay, and he has just smacked the wall off of turn number 1. The brand new Dallas Speedpark has already showed some issues during preseason testing, and that was one of them. Patrick Henderson will be running the full ARLA schedule and smacking the wall off of turn number 1 after making his debut in big league racing at the 2011 Indianapolis round of the Team Master Cup Series. However, his current performance leaves much to be desired. Ashley Tucker was signed to a full-time ride with Riggs Motorsports, replacing Damian Snyder after Tucker had a stellar run at the 150 laps of Dwyer last season. Her team clawed its way up into the top 10 before being done in by mechanical problems, but she is redeeming herself so far with a solid 6th place run. Lane Cranston will be driving the new MT Motorsports entry this season, and he has just blown up, entering turn number 3. Cranston will not make it back to the pit lane, so he will park his car on the inside, and that will bring out a yellow. Bill Tissum continues to lead on the restart. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. has made his way up to 2nd during that run. Tiffany Matthews is 3rd, and Ashley Tucker is right behind her. Darren Grant has a lot of damage to that 20 car. In fact, the entire back end is missing, including the spoiler, but he's still trying to hang on to a spot in the top 10. Darren Grant was signed to this 20 car after Nico Petrov left the ARLA program after he decided he was not a fan of the new car. And Grant is really trying to make the most of his opportunity, but with all that damage, she is holding people up just a little bit. The 5th caution comes out on lap 46 as Vijay Pushanda gets into the 9 of Lawrence Burr coming off of turn 1, spinning him into the inside wall. Lawrence Burr would keep going. Bill Tissum leads on the restart with Ebenezer Quiggles in 2nd and Yevgeny Kuznetsov having made his way up to 3rd in that last run, despite some significant damage to the rear end of that car. And then Quiggles will soon face a challenge from Kuznetsov. Like Quiggles, Kuzi proved himself to be rather quick last season in his few starts. I think that 82 car should be fairly interesting to watch as the year goes on. But Quiggles decides that Kuzi's hogged the 2nd spot for long enough and immediately takes it back from him. So we've got quite the heated battle for 2nd developing, and Quiggles has just smacked the wall now. There really does not seem to be a whole lot of grip down there for whatever reason, and several drivers have been traveling up into the wall today. Vijay Pushanda fell back earlier in the race, but now he has made his way back up into 4th. But at the moment, Ashley Tucker seems to be quicker than the Pie car, so he's going to have to worry about holding off that 57 car in a few moments. But Tucker would get by him fairly easily, and she makes her way up into 2nd, getting by Quiggles with relative ease. You see Nikos Kostopoulos behind them. He is running a lap down. In the meantime, Bill Tissum still has an enormous lead over the rest of the field. It seems that the Tonnerre Thunderbolt is showing signs of its old promise that it showed back in Rockford in 2010. Tonnerre broke onto the ARLA scene that weekend, and the cars they brought were very fast. Tissum would soon come across Patrick Henderson, who moves up to let him by, and perhaps gave him a bit too much room as he slides up into the wall once again. Henderson decided to not be all that gracious with 2nd place Ashley Tucker. He holds her up down the entire length of the front stretch and into turn number 1. He starts to wash up the track, but he's not letting her by. He almost smacks the wall again, and that would not have been good for either Henderson or Tucker, as he finally slides up and lets her up by in turn 2. Vijay Pushanda is still on the move, blasting by Tiffany Matthews in turn 3, and he will get a run on Patrick Henderson in turn 3, so this Pie car has picked up a lot of speed within the last few laps. Jessica Graham has also picked up some speed in the last few laps. She gets by Zachary Zins for the 6th position. S-Tech Autosport fielded a car in the ARLA Thunder Trucks last year with team owner Aoi Tanizaka driving. They did not have too much success, but decided to move up to the ARLA Elite Series anyway, and Graham seems to be doing a nice job for them so far. Whatever problem Kyle Gaffigan had earlier in the race, it didn't seem to get resolved because he's been running well off the pace and is about to go a lap down to Bill Tissum. And then in front of Bill Tissum are a couple more lapped cars, Greg Woodard, and I believe that is Barton Sandy in the 999 car. Ebenezer Quiggles Jr. is running a very distant 3rd. A caution would really help him right about now. But not when he's the cause of it. Quiggles comes to almost a dead stop off of turn 1. Something seems to have gone wrong with that Division by Zero car. and he will stop on the racetrack and bring out our 6th caution of the day with 34 laps to go. Tough break for the Fluffy Penguin Onion Burger squad. Bill Tissum leads on the restart, but his lead has been shrunk to nothing now. Ashley Tucker is 2nd, VJ Pashanda is 3rd, and Tiffany Matthews has been very quietly hanging around in the top 5 all day. Patrick Henderson quickly gets swallowed up by the pack. He slides up into VJ Pashanda and puts himself and the pie car into the wall. And that seems to have been Henderson's last straw with the officials. They immediately called him to the hauler after that little maneuver. Ashley Tucker has the lapped car of Nikos Kostopoulos in front of her, and she pulls to the inside to get by the 728, and into turn number 1, there she goes. She now has nobody in between her and Bill Tissum, and I believe Kostopoulos has just smacked the wall. It didn't take Tucker too long to chase down Bill Tissum. Either Tissum has fallen off or Tucker has come to life. Either way, the battle for the lead has really heated up as the laps wind down. Tucker is right on Tissum's bumper as they head down into turn number 3. It looks like Tissum is trying to opt for a more defensive line off the corner, running off the wall, but Tucker pulls to the inside. Coming through turn number 1, Tucker has the advantage, and Ashley Tucker will move into the lead after Tissum has dominated much of the race. Jessica Graham has worked her way up into the 3rd position. This 59 car has also come to life, but she's got the 728 of Nikos Kostopoulos in front of her. However, 4th place Tiffany Matthews is quite a ways back, so Graham does not have a whole lot of pressure to get by Kostopoulos right now. Zachary Zins has made his way back up into the top 5. The A1 Racing Team has needed a run like this, even if it is just the Rookie Shootout. They have not been up towards the front of the field too often. Patrick Henderson is still well off the pace, but he is trying to be a little bit more gracious this time around, letting Ashley Tucker by on the outside. Tucker has really opened a big gap over Tissum at this point. With less than 10 laps to go, Tucker still holds a commanding lead over Tissum. Oh, I think she just hit the wall right there. I know it's nerve-wracking when you're in position to win a race, but you have to remain calm and focused. Otherwise, you lose your concentration and make mistakes like that. Riding on board with Tucker, there's already a lot of damage on the right side of that car, and that just makes things worse. Tucker just doesn't seem to be paying any attention at all, but she still holds a very big lead with 2 laps to go, and she hits the wall once again! This cannot be a very good indication of how Tucker will perform in an actual points race. But once again, Tucker has a massive lead over Bill Tissum, and coming off of turn number 3, Tucker will see the white flag. She will have to survive 1 more lap, which I don't think anyone is confident about. Off of turn number 1, she stays off the wall. But we had a crash on the last lap. Nikos Kostopoulos bounces off the wall, coming off of turn 2, into Pashanda, off the wall again, and finally into Casey Campbell, which sends him into the wall, and here comes Barton Sandy. He clobbers the 728 car right in the middle of turn 3. Kostopoulos is stopped right in front of the leaders, but Ashley Tucker makes it through, and she will come across the line to take the 4th annual Rookie Shootout. Those last few laps were very sketchy for Ashley Tucker, but she can breathe easy coming home with the win. And 25 bonus points heading into the new season. Bill Tissum remained in 2nd in a very good run for the Tonnerre Thunderbolt. Jessica Graham's car came to life when it mattered the most, and that's how she grabbed 3rd place. Zachary Zins came back to finish 4th, taking the position from Tiffany Matthews. Matthews finished a very quiet 5th, and Jarko Forsström also ran very quietly most of the race. He finished in 6th. VJ Pashanda is 7th, despite getting into a few incidents during the race. Casey Campbell also got into quite a few incidents, but she came back to finish 8th. Yevgeny Kuznetsov fell back to 9th. And then Darren Grant rounds out the top 10, missing his spoiler.